Hello, everybody. Happy whatever day this is. I think it's Thursday. Yes, it is. It is Thursday, and Mercury is in retrograde. And if you believe that stuff, then you're finding reasons for all the things happening. So, our guest today took a bit of time to get here, but she's here, and I'm so excited. Her name is Hope Timberlake, and we are going to be talking about her book, Speak Up, Dammit. So I'm going to invite you to speak up, damn it, if you have any questions or any comments, and go ahead and type them because we're live and you get to hear from us as we go live. And before I bring on Hope Timberlake, I want to remind you about the Get Visible, Get Clients Now event that is happening so soon. It is happening on January 18th. Speaking success strategist Amanda Rose Igo and I are going to be live bringing you all this amazing stuff in our special training session, and you can get your ticket right there. It's going. Okay, so that is how you do that. So I am going to now bring on our fantastic guest for the day. Hello, Hope.
Hi, Melanie. I am so glad to be here. I'm in Northern California. We've had storms and all kinds of things have created obstacles, but we are here and I'm so thrilled to be a guest on your show.
Thank you. I'm so happy you're here too. I know I don't necessarily even know what Mercury in retrograde means, but I just, people keep warning me about it. So I figured I would pass that along. And anytime that there's something strange going on with the internet, that tends to get blamed.
Yes. I think that's, I don't know what it means either, but it makes perfect sense to me. Let's blame it on that.
We'll totally do that. Okay, awesome. So let's talk about your book, which I can actually see in the background. So that is fantastic. Why don't you give us like a little Vanna White here? Tell us about your book.
I would make a terrible Vanna. Yes. The book is Speak Up, Dammit, How to Quiet Your Fears, Polish Your Presence, and Share Your Voice. And it came about because I've been a communications coach for about 18 years now, working mostly with leaders, a lot of leaders who had a lot of budgets and a lot of people around them to support them. And in 2019, I was like, this is great work. And there's so many other people who could benefit from the same things I'm doing with people with big budgets and at the top of their career. So why don't we just put all these ideas and all these exercises into a book so that people earlier in their career, people who are not the top of their career with multi-figure budgets can pay for a coach, and they can have it in one concise little book that they can bring with them and learn the same strategies that the leaders learn.
That's brilliant. I love that. So when did your book get published?
Yeah, great. It was October 2021. So interestingly, Melanie, like when I decided in 2019, it was the fall of 2019. I was like, I've got to do this in 2020. I've got to. And January, I was like, I was like sort of trudging along, like maybe spending 10 minutes a week writing. I was like, I'm never going to get anywhere. And of course, March happened. And then all of a sudden, book was written in a relatively short amount of time because I no longer had to commute, no longer had the same work. So it was a blessing in disguise.
That's awesome. And I just want to, give you kudos because the book was published in a different year than where we are now. And you're still promoting it.
Yes.
And it's so important. And I say this all the time. And sometimes I feel like I'm, screaming into the abyss. Just because your book is published doesn't mean you should stop talking about it.
Totally. I completely agree. And I was really worried. I'm so glad you brought that up, Melanie. I know this is your life's work or your current life's work. But I was really stressed out when I was publishing that, oh my God, I've got to get all these things done in the first 90 days or first 30 days, then the 90 days, then the 6 months. And I was panicking as the year approached. And I look back, I'm like, that's so silly. If anything, things have been better in like sort of the second half of that first year to the first half of this second year. So yeah, no, I mean, a lot of these books are evergreen and I plan to keep promoting it and talking to people like you. And so yeah, I think that's a really great point.
Yeah, as you should keep promoting. And I love that evergreen, the fact that you mentioned evergreen. And yeah, I mean, speaking up and being a leader and finding your voice and breaking through fear, that's never going out of style.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. I mean, yeah, good or bad. Yeah, we're probably always going to have fears that we need, and we're always going to need to share our voice. So yeah, exactly.
Absolutely. We're still humans at the end of the day. What got you into this line of work to begin with?
Yeah. Oh, I had such a circuitous route. I know your story too. It's not, there's, I think for most of us, for many of us, I think especially the women that I know and admire, it's not linear usually. There's some different paths. And some of it was fortuitous. Like a friend said, "Hey, there's this communication firm that needs help." Some of it was where I was in my life. I had a new baby and I didn't want to do the work I'd been doing. But the reality is, I also have always loved communicating and working with people. And a lot of the work that I had done before I did this work was more solitary, and I didn't like that. One of the things I think it's really healthy to write a book and to have like all these ideas crystallized in a book format. But also, there's such a human aspect to writing a book that I don't think people always recognize, and that relationship part, that marketing part, that talking to people part, the conversation part. I love that. And that was the part that always drew me to this line of work is working with people, communicating well with people.
I love that. So who just joined us?
That is Sadie. So as I mentioned,
Sadie.
we have storms happening. So my house doesn't have electricity, but my office does. And so for a variety of reasons, I could not leave her at home because anyway, so my dog, my 8-month-old pup just popped in the back. I thought she was happy with her bone, but apparently
No, we love children and puppies and kitties.
I saw her. I was like, oh God, she's in the background.
No, it's great. It's great. Sometimes my dog jumps on my lap and won't get off. And I'm like, well, guess we got to keep going.
Yeah.
So hi, Sadie. Thanks for joining us. And so let's go a little bit deeper though. Okay. So you had all these, things that happen but what really drives you? What is it about the communication piece that really hits your heart and makes you, so like lit up about it?
Yeah, no, that's a great point. I mean, I feel strongly that communication is the key to everything, to relationships in the home, to relationships with family, to how you work well with others, whether you are an employee or you're a leader or you're a neighbor or you're a friend or you're a family member. I just think that is so key. And there are some things that emotions get in the way, or we don't always know how we come across. So there are so many things we can do to finesse. We don't need to change everything, but just sort of finesse some things to become better communicators, to have some empathy for the listeners we're speaking to. And those small little tweaks can make a huge difference in our satisfaction, in our effectiveness, in our confidence. So I'm a huge believer in just the power of effective communication in all realms of our life.
Is there a story that you can share that's sort of like a personal story, and what is it that your mission truly is?
Yeah, so I have a few books. I have a few stories in my book, and one of them was around when I was pivoting careers. As I mentioned, I'm nonlinear career, and I pivoted from working in a hospital setting, which was actually very solitary, and it was good, but not for me. And I pivoted to working in a corporate environment, and specifically with this advertising agency. And I was in a room with all these people. I was not the youngest, but I was the newest, and I was so unstable and insecure, frankly, about having gone from like a hospital setting where nothing was chic or fancy to like this like fancy hotel boardroom where we were having this meeting. And this woman, it was only about 6 or 8 of us. And this woman was like, okay, everyone needs to contribute. We're having an offsite and I need everyone's ideas. And I had the biggest inner critic fear, because I thought, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm new in this world. I don't know anything about advertising. I was kind of like, the low man on the totem pole. And I was like, how can I possibly contribute? So I spent hours, Melanie, hours and hours and hours trying to figure out what to say. And when I finally said something, I thought it was the stupidest thing in the world. It was a question. And I thought it was the dumbest question in the entire world. And until I published the book 15 years later, I thought it was the dumbest thing I'd ever said. 2 people who were in that room read my story in the book and they were like, oh, I don't remember that at all. I thought that was a great question. And it was such a reminder of like, we are in our own heads. This head does not serve us. And how much we need to actually get out, ask people for their opinions so that we're not just stuck here. And also just have the confidence to have to say the things that are in our brain, even if we feel like it's not the perfect thing, just to get it out. So that was one of many examples of times when I just completely freaked out for no reason.
Well, thank you so much for sharing that because I'm sure that everybody watching, myself included, can relate to that moment. I found myself in my head back in a boardroom too, thinking about the first time I was in a meeting and going, oh God, I hope I don't have to say anything because I have no idea what's going on around me. So,
Yes, yes. I think we probably all can relate to it in some aspect of our life.
absolutely. Okay, so here is where you can find all the things about Hope and at hopetimberlake.com. And so you have this really cool thing that you're offering. The only problem is nobody can click on their screen to access it. So I'll have to put this in the comments below because otherwise you'll just be like,
Yeah, exactly. They could also email me or LinkedIn. I'm always on LinkedIn, and a little on Instagram, but hope@hopetimberlake.com. If you want best practices for spontaneous speaking, you can email me as well. If you don't want to type in the form, type form, all those letters.
okay, so why don't you tell us a little bit about what that is? What's this guide about spontaneous?
Yes. So here's the thing is that, like you and I just talked about, this whole idea of we get so scared to say something. And what my passion, my goal, my mission is for everyone to get to a place where they can feel like they can contribute an idea, even if they're not prepared. So these are a couple really simple but profound ways that you can prepare yourself to speak up in a meeting or in a setting anywhere where you're not yet prepared. It's spontaneous speaking where they're like, Melanie, tell us your thoughts on what's happening in the government right now. And you're like, I have no thoughts at all, but you can follow these steps to just pause, get some breathing going, calm yourself down, think about the audience, and come up with one or two comments that you want to share without totally freaking yourself out like you and I have done in the past.
I love that. Now, if you really want to know my thoughts on government, no, I'm kidding. Um, that's great. Okay, so you can go. So you also said so we can go to your website and we can find all the things. You can also email you hope@hopetimberlake.com. Okay, let's one more question.
Yeah.
Is there any sort of best practices or anything that you've come up against when in terms of marketing your book that you want to share with the audience?
Yeah.
Good or bad?
Yeah, no, I think that I think we overthink this. I mean, I got so stuck on like the numbers, the number of reviews, the number of people, the number of this, the number of all those things. And I think like just knowing, like thinking about this as a relationship, like how can I provide value? How can I provide something helpful to my audience? That's the best thing to focus on, not all that other noise.
I love that. Thank you. And Sadie agrees.
Sadie agrees.
All right, Hope, thank you so much for being here today. I'm so glad the internet worked at your office because this was so much fun.
Barely, but we're here. So yeah, thank you, Melanie. Have a great new year. And thanks to everyone for watching, and keep writing.
Yes, keep writing.
Voting.
Yes. Thank you so much, everybody. We'll see you again next time.